And there we go. Easy. Easy. I don't know why it's so difficult. Hello. Welcome to a very cheeky, too long didn't read tabletop RPG stream. My name is Fiona. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the host of What Am I Rolling, which is a twice monthly RPG one-shot podcast. And I always forget about the bank holiday here in the UK. It's such a weird time, because I work in higher education, and I don't necessarily get same holidays, or I don't have children, I don't have family members that go to school times, and so when it's like summer, I'm like, yeah, just work through it, and then suddenly it's like, oh shit, it's a bank holiday. And turns out nobody's around, which is totally cool. That's fine, everyone's making plans for me. So I've just done some video games today, and then I thought, oh, whilst I'm here, I might as well do some reading. I will say I don't have no plans at all. I am teaching later on, so I was like, whoops, need to remember to do that. But hello, welcome. If it's your first time to one of these streams, that's great. Just say hello in the chat. Obviously, don't worry if not. It's just me talking through stuff. So the idea behind these streams is that I read usually a quick start or a little bit of a tabletop RPG that I've got on the list, the big list that I need to go through. And it was a very big long list. And today, I thought I'd go. I feel like I've not been paying due diligence to horror. Obviously, I love horror, and I love tabletop RPGs that are surrounded by horror. I've been running Alien. I've just finished a one shot of Solemn Veil, all good stuff. And I thought, why not go and look at the one tabletop horror RPG? Take a look at one of the top horror tabletop RPGs. Like it's the biggest after D&D and Pathfinder and all these other things, and I have to say I have played this game a few times. I still do not understand the rules. Yesterday we're looking at Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, because there are many different editions, so it's the most recent current edition for folks to know. And obviously, massive thing at the top of the stream, there could be lots of mature content in this when we're reading some of the stuff. So just keep in mind that maybe it's not safe for work if you're watching it at work, and there's definitely mature themes. So if you need to take a moment from the stream, that's absolutely fine as well. There is something about vampires, right? We've all had I had my Dracula phase. Some people had their Twilight phase. I remember I read Dracula a long time ago, and then my mum was like, oh well, I found you like vampires. Here's a new book, it's called Twilight. And I was like, okay. I read it and I was like, God, it's rubbish. This is terrible. And then my sister read it, and we never got rid of Twilight as a result. It's so wild when you think that, because that used to be such a big hit. Do you remember? Like, it was just such a in the zeitgeist, anything about Twilight, and it was just absolutely wild. And it obviously spawned quite a lot of fanfic, including 50 Shades of Grey and all that sort of thing. But anyway, the whole point is that vampires are just something that people find incredibly powerful and something very drawn to. So of course, why isn't there a whole tabletop RPG dedicated to this sort of genre? So it's all good. Woo! Woot! Says Crafty Goggo. Let's start a wave. All right. Nice to see you there. Hope you're having a good bank holiday weekend as well. Although if you're sitting in here watching me, probably isn't that good. But I thought I'd show you before we begin the dice, because I know we'll get to it at some point. But I wanted to say, like, we're going to look at the quick start for 5th edition of Vampire the Masquerade, and then there is a starter set as well. So I thought we'd look at those both, just because the big book of Vampire the Masquerade is massive, and from my memory, which is obviously not great at the best of times, there isn't really a page. Like, this is the core book I'm talking. There isn't really a couple of pages that just go, here are the main mechanics. It's like hidden at the back at page 200 and something, and I'm just like, I do not, I spent hours trying to find it when I was desperate on a stream once, but I thought I'd show you, because it comes, so there are custom dice for this. It's roughly about 20 quid, which I know is really expensive, but it uses D10 dice, and I thought I'd show you. So we've got this sort of normal sort of black dice there with a couple of the faces with little symbols on them, and then there's one with a special symbol. I assume that's like a super success. Don't worry, we'll go into this when it comes up. But there's like 10 of these dice, and then I believe these are called blood dice, or feed dice. I think blood dice. I can't remember. Where again, similar sort of symbols. One I hope a super success, and then one that's looks pretty bad. So we'll see. Oh, sorry, I never focus on these things. So there you go. So we've got a couple of those as well as just a normal D10 that I found randomly in my little bag. So there you go. So I had physical dice because when I was being told the rules to this, I mean, I was reading out what I had, and someone was just like, well, what does that mean? I was like, I don't know, you've got to tell me. So when I was using normal dice for this, I found it a bit of a struggle. So I don't know if you'd need the custom Vampire the Masquerade dice for this game, but I definitely found it helpful when I was playing through it. Let's go to the game screen, and we can go into... So yeah, so it is a World of Darkness game, and obviously there are spin-offs from this as well. You know, World of Darkness is the sort of main one, and then Vampire the Masquerade is one of the subsets. There's also the Hunter, the Reckoning, and there's also recently the sort of revamped, re-released werewolf one as well. And let me tell you, if you type in Vampire the Masquerade, not only should you have safe search on, but also there's no one site other than Wikipedia that tells you like what it is. You've got lots of lovely videos. It kind of just tells you like all the prep stuff, which is cool. There's even mood boards. Oh, I need to move it slightly. There's even mood boards you can go to, which is pretty cool. I like that. I think that's quite cool. They have released recently a player's guide, which I think that was this year. So that's probably made things a little bit easier to go into, and obviously there's a little list of all the clans there as well, which is good. But yeah, World of Darkness have really hopped onto like the video aspects, so you could watch videos on quick guides onto the clans, etc., which is very good. Oh, and there's a big image there that shows them all. Fantastic. And there are loads of products for Vampire. I mean, it makes sense. It's been around for a long time. But you could get adventures. You can get source books depending on what city you're in. There's a whole general history. Yeah, there's some free ones here, like all Sanguine, that's a free scenario based on New Year's Eve, which is pretty cool. There's stuff in Roll20 as well, so it's all really good stuff. And yes, so this is the one we're going to look at today. This free The Monsters of Vampire the Masquerade Quick Start. And then you see, again, these are all the other things that you get. You could, if you wanted to go really hard, really deep into it as well. If in doubt, this is what I do. I just go to Drive-Thru-RPG, and it's on there. So currently the core book is 20 quid, which is pretty good. I assume if I go to Renegade Studios, because that's who they're currently under. I wish they some studios do this where they'll put it under like, oh, here's all of our categories under this one thing. I was going to see if they had like, I don't know, free character sheets or the player's guide on here. I don't know if the player guide is on here yet, but yeah, you can get your Roll20 supplements and stuff in here as well. So there you go. So that's roughly where you can get them. Obviously, I've put a link in the chat, but yeah, it is easy to get the PDFs of them as well. The books, they vary in cost. So, because I say that because I've got the London book, because I wanted to find out all about Vampire the Masquerade in London. But yeah, I hear it's quite not easy, but it's it's a nice way to get those different settings and stuff and set a story within your local area as well, which I think is quite cool. So the Vampire the Masquerade game I'm thinking of, the one I played, and we set it in Manchester. It's where I grew up. And that was pretty fun. I was like the manager of one of the hotels there, and that was quite fun. I really liked that. So that's sort of, I don't know, it was just something a little bit of a different vibe, the sort of nitty-grittiness of it all. But with all that out of the way, I'm going to go to turn off Crow, go to this. So this is what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at the quick start first, and then we'll have a quick look at the starter set stuff, which I've also got on these tabs here. Start here. Ooh. So we'll look at the quick start. What I will say is quick start and the starter set obviously come with some pre-generated characters as well. And from my brief recollection when I sort of looked at this way back in the day, it's written as if that you discover the mechanics along the way. There's not like one reference sheet that you give out, although this tab probably will tell us in a second. It's only 16 pages there, which is fine. I don't mind that too much. Like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay's starter set also does something very similar, but sometimes you just need a little bit of a separation from it. So we'll find out. We'll learn as we go. So I'm going to say this right at the top. I'm not a Vampire the Masquerade expert at all. It's probably like third or fourth time I've looked into it in many, many years. And yeah, I'm excited though. I'd be interested to see what we can do with it. So, looking at the quick start, so this is free. The Monsters, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition quick start guide. This is about 43 pages, just so folks know. And oh, okay, tiny writing. Alright. Yeah, I vaguely remember tiny writing. How does that look on the screen? Oh, that looks so small. Okay, so in a small American town, somebody is killing people and taking their blood, which is always a problem for vampires. If it is a human being, it might draw attention to the true predators of the night. If it is kindred, the masquerade is in jeopardy. If it is something else... In this quick start scenario of Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, you and a couple of friends will portray inhuman vampires doing their best to stay unliving in a world filled with peril. In this particular instance, they have been tasked to find a killer before the increased police and civilian scrutiny causes trouble for the vampires in the region. Cool, nice and straightforward, simple. What you will need: a copy of this document, preferably printed, so you can refer to it during play. Or, if you're like me, have it on your iPad, so you can quickly skip back and forth, and you can search really easily. She says, oh no, it's not text accessible, so that shows what I know. Have 5 people, one of whom is acting as the storyteller, and who would be the only one reading all of his documents. So yes, a storyteller, that is the name of the facilitator, the game master for Vampire the Masquerade. I love that, really love that. Pens and paper for taking notes, and several 10-sided die in 2 colours. Alright, well, we've got them there for a second. Note that Vampire the Masquerade is a mature game, dealing with serious and sometimes disturbing themes. Make sure all the participants are comfortable with this before playing the game. The Monsters contains explicit violence and murder, taking of blood without consent, violation of personal integrity, and references to sexual predation. Yeah. Always remember that you are not your character, and it is assumed that you are comfortable with exploring morality from a perspective that isn't your own. Also note that this isn't your typical succeed or fail RPG scenario. There are few happy endings. Now, I like that. I think, although it's not really said like, hey, do a session 0, all that sort of thing, the fact it just sort of says this game, you know, here are the content warnings, right? It doesn't say content warnings, but it's nice that it's going like, hey, this is going to be mature. Don't, you know, if you don't like it, that's fine, but we just make sure that everyone's comfortable with doing it. I think that's interesting. It's not, I guess maybe it's obviously created before the proper, like, being instilled with, you know, like those consent and session 0, etc. So the fact is like, these are what we're going to explore. This makes it really, really clear. So I think hopefully you as a storyteller can actually tell that to your players, saying like, hey, we're going to do this. If you're not comfortable with this, then I'm going to ask what the scenario is about. The storyteller should start by reading through the scenario at least once so that they are familiar with the general outline. Present the characters to the players and distribute them distribute them as you as a group see fit. Give the players some time to read through the characters and ask any questions before you read the Welcome to the World of Darkness text below, which also starts off the scenario. The rules of Vampire the Masquerade are relevant for the scenario are interspersed throughout, as well as in the character descriptions. Should the players go significantly off-book, feel free to use the rules presented later in the document, or you as the storyteller will have to improvise. But and there's some footnotes there. So I think that one was kindred, so a term for vampires as a whole or a single vampire. Nice. And then the Masquerade, that's what it was called, right? The Masquerade, yep. Roll credits. The habit or tradition of hiding the existence of vampires from humanity. Designed to protect the vampires from destruction at the hands of mankind, the Masquerade was adopted after the Inquisition claimed many kindred unlives. Already, again, I know it's a pretty decently old RPG book, and it's been around for a while, but I do like terminology like this, where it's sort of like you're already in this world. Yeah, kindred, masquerade, unlives, unliving, etc. Like, you've just already sort of transported there. Welcome to the world of darkness. It is a world not unlike our own, seen through a darkened lens. As the unknowing humans sleep, monstrous vampires prowl, sustaining their undead existence with human blood. Over the years, these master predators have organized themselves into a neo-feudal structure built on the bonds of blood and favor. In this scenario, you'll be portraying 4 such vampires, forming a coterie, a tight-knit group of vampires working at the behest of their undead masters to remove threats to the Masquerade. As vampires, you can sustain damage far beyond what would kill a mortal, and have access to vampiric powers to bend as well as break those that oppose you. However, daytime is no longer yours, and sunlight burns your flesh. Human food and drink rapidly comes up again. But that pales in comparison with the hunger. The only thing that sustains you is blood, and sooner or later you will always want more. Deny that urge and be prepared to face the consequences. In this particular instance, your characters have been sent to hunt for a killer who might have inadvertently drawn attention to vampire kind. Sam Stokes, your master, is responsible for keeping a lid on things in your region and has sent you to meet her contact in the local police force for more details. The hunt for the monsters is on. And only the storyteller should read it beyond this point. Haha. Cool. Like it. What a nice introduction as well. Alright. Okay, the introduction. The Monsters is an atypical murder mystery in that the protagonist will not solve a whodunit. Instead, they will confronted by their very natures as they unravel the mystery behind the murders. It is a semi-railroaded in the sense that several scenes propel the plot forward without much player input. Murder 3 and 4. But it also has several open scenes where the players are left to their own devices. The main difficulty from a storyteller's point of view is the foreshadowing the reveal in Chapter 3 just enough, as well as managing the shift in mood that occurs in over Chapter 2. Theme, mood, recurring motifs. The themes of Monsters are Monsters We Are, outlining in red ink that the vampires are indeed monsters who not only perform monstrous acts on an almost daily basis, but also eventually sinks deeper still. And what should we do with monsters? The mood should be rage and righteousness in the first acts as the players chase the monster, shifting into personal horror as it is revealed that to the characters what their players have done. Recurring motifs are the mirror as well as punishment for wicked deeds. Ooh, love that. I love having a little structured thing like that. Feels very much like the Cat's way of approaching things, you know, these sort of I'm just trying to think, consent, is that what it is? Consent, aim, tone, and something beginning with S, I can't remember. But I like that. Oh, hello, Brian. Hello. I hope you're feeling okay. I've never seen a game refer to itself as a semi-railroaded. Bold, but honest. I agree. I think, let's face it, when you're starting off games for the first time, you're playing with new players who either don't know what to do or just are just going to try everything. You've got 2 ends of the scale, right? So it's quite nice that I feel so far it's sort of like easily gone, this is what it is, here's the moods and themes, go for it, rather than hiding it a little bit sometimes. That's why I think maybe, as I was saying before, like the idea of that Vampire the Masquerade is, I think, without putting a lid on it or putting labels on it too much, it was already doing that sort of consent, and here are the themes, and maybe it's not for you if you don't want to explore them, because this is going to be quite brutal, so not doing necessarily the lines and veils, but just already just saying that here's what the content warnings is without calling them content warnings. Setting the scenario. The default setting for the scenario is a small American town, the particulars of which have been left purposely vague as to allow placing it wherever you like. The same goes for various places and people encountered during the scenario. Their descriptions are concise, and it is up to you as a storyteller to add details and depth. Is Marcus Lecter a traditional suit or more of a big game hunter? Is Martha a shrunken old figure or a perfectly ordinary woman? Perfectly old woman was what I was going to say. Are the locations encountered moody and atmospheric, or are you highlighting their banality? Do you give verbose and comprehensive descriptions, or do you let the players' imaginations do the job? The options are endless, and we cannot tell you which ones would give the best experience for you and your group. Very, very true. One thing I would say, though, with verbose and comprehensive descriptions, like, don't get me wrong, I love talking. I do a lot in improv, and lots of improvisers I've been teaching recently. They're very good at like coming up with lots of things, but realistically, any details you give, certainly in a horror thing, you've got to keep it short and concise, because that has the biggest impact. And you could have great words for it, but we talked about this before, like pausing, short, sharp sentences, those make the biggest impact, or at least I found that as well. Because I definitely struggled to be like, oh god, they've said so much, what's the detail I need to pick out, without actually having it there as text on the paper. Concept, aim, tones, and subject matter. Cats. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, exactly. So that's what it feels like. It's kind of, that's what it felt like it was saying, without having that structure. So yeah, thank you. Storyteller notes. Below are some additional notes for the storyteller. If you didn't know already, you will quickly find out that the players are inventive. They will go places that neither you or the scenario designer dreamed of. When that happens, you as a storyteller will have to improvise. Hooray. This applies particularly to inventive uses of disciplines. Joanna could conceivably ask the animals anything, anywhere. Paul could use premonition, I'm not be able to say that word, anywhere. Or always give away something, but not too much. Where does the coterie sleep during the day? Is it assumed that they live in a specially furbished mobile home? It is assumed that they live in a specially furbished mobile home, but they are of course free to make other arrangements if they wish. If the coterie knows what is best for them, they will do their utmost to stay off the radar of regular law enforcement. Weber's protection only goes so far, and all it takes is the police to start looking for them to make the characters' unlives very difficult. Should something encounter a mysterious mobile home in the area and decide to investigate during the day, it's likely game over. The same goes for if the characters are hauled in for questioning or held in custody, since they don't suffer daylight gladly. The coterie is free to bring any reasonable equipment. Sam isn't stingy, but she's also adamant that it should hold up to inspection. That it should hold up to an inspection by law enforcement. Here follows a brief description of the people involved in the drama. Besides these, the player characters are likely to interact with a number of different individuals, from potential witnesses to grieving families. So, the police contact Detective Robert Weber. Turned by greed and blood a long time ago, Detective Weber nowadays works for Madam Stokes below. That's your master, right? Simply because he thinks vampires are better suited to cops to take care of any funny business. His name for any case shows traces of the supernatural. In this case, there aren't any such traces, but Weber nevertheless recognizes the values of vampires staying hidden, as well as catching murderers, of course. Sam Stokes, the kindred sheriff. Madam Sam Stokes is the law amongst kindred in these parts, and has been so for a long time. Once a field worker, nowadays a shop caller behind the scenes, Sam's foremost job is protecting the Masquerade. She is the one that has sent the coterie to meet with Detective Weber, and is available for contact if the coterie runs out of ideas or needs strings pulled. She also makes an appearance in the flashback in Chapter 3. Harry Lloyd, the obsessed fan. One night, 3 decades ago, a heavily intoxicated Sam Lloyd... Sorry, that's a singer, I think. Harry Lloyd did something that has come to plague him his entire life. He has long been obsessed with the sci-fi movie megastarlet Liza Burton, a young actress of considerable fan acclaim. A toxic fan, he took his fixation too far, frequently visiting Liza's house without her knowledge and tracing her every movement. This fateful night, after drinking a little too much, Harry broke into Liza's home, and when she told him to leave, he lashed out. He murdered her. Well, that's what the papers and the judge said. Harry maintained his innocence, of the murder at least, and still does to this day. He was released from prison a few months ago and was hopeful that his crime would be forgotten. The tabloids ensued that this would not be the case. Clickbait articles, think piece vlogs, creating an Eliza Burton renaissance whilst portraying Lloyd as a wretched, obsessive fan. He now lives a miserable existence in his house, ostracised by the community from which he is often the subject of harassment and vandalism. He would have moved long ago if he had any means. The coterie might encounter Harry already in Chapter 1, but otherwise he shows up in Chapter 2. It's quite nice that, again, I would maybe put that line where they show up at the top here. Like I like this little backstory. I'm always a big fan of like backstories for characters and stuff because it gives you something to jump off with. But that, I was like, oh, where did they fit in? I'd put that at the top so it's easy to be like, oh, see, Chapters 1 and 2, this is where Harry will be. Alright. Marcus Lecter, the Clot Collector. That's a horrible title. Marcus Lecter is a vampire of means and spends his time collecting victims with rare and delicate blood. Oh, that sometimes even yields supernatural effects. He especially savours the blood of serial killers and other remorseless ne'er-do-wells, and is thus on a similar mission as the coterie. Including Marcus in this scenario is optional, serving as a foil and / or opportunity depending on the coterie's actions. I do like that. Like somebody's like a rival racing against time for you as well, but obviously for own selfish means. But what a title though. They call me the Clot Collector. It's like a really bad villain, isn't it? But I do like it. But I don't know, my reaction, I think that's what players' reactions are supposed to be like that. Ugh, gross. Don't call yourself that. Oh, I can see. Sorry, I just read ahead a little bit there. The monster. Ever since that fateful night 30 years ago, poor Martha has been trying to piece together what happened to her younger sister. They say it was a serial killer, but some things don't add up. There are details missing, things subdued. Piece by piece, she has reconstructed that night at the hotel and what followed, and a whole world of darkness and pain has been revealed to her. This has caused her mind to irrevocably snap. It snapped. Permanently snapped. And out of pain and vengeance, she's now looking to recreate the events of 30 years ago in her own twisted way before her health gives out. Okay, I thought it was going to be Liza. Sorry, I was like, so it's her sister that's done it. Okay. But I thought it was going to be Liza's the one. For whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe because I'm not a fan of, fridging women. As, even though this is a female sort of villain, or female presenting villain. The coterie. See the appendix for descriptions of the player characters. As for the other descriptions in the book, there are very little in the way of physical descriptions here, leaving it to the players to imagine what their characters are like. Some parts of the character sheets relate to the systems not in the quick start. Ignore those for now. And why would you include it on the why would you include them on the pre-gen then? If they're not in the quick start. Alright, let's go. Chapter 1, Hook and Introduction. Chapter 1 is the introduction to the scenario and will give players plenty of leeway when it comes to actions. Hopefully, they will have seen a cop show or two and not be completely lost of how to investigate a murder. One thing I'm going to say straight away, I hate columns. I find them so hard to read, like in a physical book. That's why I don't read newspapers that often. I know it's a way that it's to make it easier to read stuff, but in books, I do not like the layout of this. But I know that's the thing in Vampire. I've got the book. I know they do that in the column things, but hate it so much. Rules in this chapter. Oh, cool. The rules you'll be using in this chapter are basic rolls, willpower, and hunger. Great, so you had them right at the beginning as well. That's pretty good. Again, I would make them maybe highlighted in a box or something just so they stand out quickly. So basic rolls. Basic rolls are simple. Whenever a character wants to accomplish something that is difficult and the outcome is uncertain, add one character attribute, so strength or composure, etc., to one character skill. Drive, velocity, etc. and roll that many dice and counter all those that come up with 6 or more. That is the number of successes. Okay, for on a d10s, that's not too bad. If the number of successes equals or exceeds the difficulty of the task set by a storyteller, the character succeeds. Cool. Sometimes, e.g., a discipline rating is substituted for a skill. Oh, missing an L there. And on some occasions, 2 attributes are rolled instead. Very cool. One thing I should probably do is actually get a character sheet up so we can have a look as we go along. Oh, Brian says, I think as far as this quick start adventure goes, I may be out. Unless it turns out to be more than a drama-based mental illness, explains a murderer. Yeah, I don't know either. It'll be interesting to see. Again, I'm hoping that, because I kind of wish they just had those straight sort of sorry, what's the word? Just have those the skills that we need as a separate sheet. I would have just looked at that. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see how we go with it. I will see how much we want to read into it, and then we can always check in the starter set one and see what that comes from. Because I feel the starter set one, from memory, that's how you begin your own life as Kindred as well. But let me see if I can grab a character sheet quickly so we can actually see that, because I feel that could be quite important, just so we can have something as a reference to. Right, vampire. Going. Cool. So I'm going to my Google Drive. There we go. Character sheets. Who we're gonna go? Let's go for. Oh, there's one called Aileen. Let's pick out Aileen and download her. All right. Let's get Aileen up. Cool. Is that showing on the overlay? Fantastic. So here we go. So this is a traditional. So we've got. Cool, so we've got 3 groups of attributes: physical, social, and mental. You've got your health and your willpower there, which will come across later, and then the skills as well. And presumably, if you're doing a basic roll, so if it's going to be strength athletics, Alien's got 2 in strength and 1 in athletics, so you'd roll 3d10, and 6 or more you would succeed, or is a success. Sorry. Again, you count how many successes you are, and then compare it, and then if you get more than that, you succeed. Okay, fairly straightforward. And some disciplines as well, so these extra skills, specialities as well. Cool, excellent. All right, now let's go back to this. So that was the basic rolls. Oh, and there's an example there. I've just got the character sheet up. Didn't need to read the example. Critical. Whenever you make a roll and get 2 or more 10s, so a 0 on many-sided dice, 10-sided dice, you score a critical and get 2 extra successes. Okay, good. Willpower. Players who are unsatisfied with their rolls may spend a point of willpower, a measure of mental fortitude, to re-roll up to 3 non-hunger dice, so those black dice we were looking at. Note this may negate messy criticals and bestial crit failures. See below. To spend a point of willpower, simply check a point of willpower from the box. So here. So Alien's got 5 willpower there to do that. Oh, there is no way to regain willpower in this quick start. So what you need to, you need to make last at the end of the scenario. Okay. Hunger. Hunger is the eternal curse of all vampires, driving them to hunt for blood to satisfy their bestial urges. As the hunger of the vampire increases, these urges will eventually drive it to inhumane actions. Keep a track of each player's hunger level with the off-colored 10-sided dice, so the red dice, so 1 dice per level of hunger. It ranges from 0, which is satisfied, to 5, which is ravenous. All players begin with a hunger level of 1. Whenever you make a roll, you can substitute as many dice for hunger dice as your level of hunger. Oh, wait, sorry. When you make a roll, substitute as many dice for hunger dice as you make. Right, so what that means, yes, I remember this now. So strength, if you're doing a strength athletics check, so that's 3 dice, and I'm on hunger level 1, one of the dice has to be a hunger dice. It has to be a red dice. So it's not like with those stress mechanic that you have in Alien where you add dice to it. You just change the color of the dice. So that's quite cool. It's sort of that hunger sort of affects, the higher it goes, the more it eats into your concentration to do the skill, perhaps, and the more changing of the manipulation. So the total number of dice doesn't change, but what they do does. I quite like that. That's quite a cool mechanic. Messy criticals. So whenever you score a critical and at least 1 10 comes up from the hunger dice. Oh, okay. Then your character's vampiric nature, also known as the beast, makes itself known. You get 2 extra successes, but you perform the action as a vampire would, killing someone if you were trying to subdue them, flashing fangs at someone if you were trying to intimidate, feeding from someone you met when canvassing, etc. Right. So yeah, if you score 2 or more 10s, that's a critical. But if one of the 10s comes from your hunger dice, then that is a messy critical. Okay, cool. If you fail to come up with something appropriate, then the roll just fails instead, but the beast clouds your mind. What does that mean? Sorry. So yeah, you have... Yeah, so I guess you have to narrate that bad outcome as well. When you fail your roll, so that's no successes, and at least 1 hunger die shows a 1, the hunger interferes with your action and the beast manifests. You cause some kind of problem for you and probably the coterie, just like with a messy critical. So whilst also failing spectacularly. If you fail to come up with something appropriate, stress increases your hunger by 1 instead. Okay. So there's stuff for like criticals, but nothing hunger related. But then messy criticals is like you go too far, you go too bad, and then you got the failure when nothing bad happens. Really, you just don't succeed, and then bestial failure, which is pretty bad. So cool. Rouse checks and using the blood. Hunger increases whenever a player fails a rouse check, and decreases when the vampire feeds. Okay, that's your level of hunger. Rouse checks are made whenever the vampire uses its blood, and every evening when it rises from sleep. To make a rouse check, simply roll 1 die, 1d10, and if it isn't a success, the vampire's hunger increases by 1. Okay. The vampire can use the blood to get an extra die on any roll, and to power their inhuman abilities called disciplines. Each player's character's disciplines are described on their character sheets. So Aileen has celerity and presence. Those are her 2 disciplines. So let's see. So Paul wants a little extra on the roll to escape some hunters and uses the blood to get an extra die. After the roll, regardless of the success or failure, the player rolls a single die and increases Paul's hunger by 1 if it shows 1 to 5. Okay, cool. That's quite cool. So you could... Yes, I see now. Use the blood. So would it only be 1 extra die, or could you be like, I'm going to use 2 blood? Okay. I guess it'll tell us otherwise. Joanna wishes to use feral whispers to ask the rats in an area to warn the coterie if someone approaches. Feral whispers has a cost of 1 rouse check, so Duan's player rolls a single die and increases Duan's hunger by 1 if it shows a 1 to 5. Okay. If the hunger is already at 5, the vampire can no longer take voluntary rouse checks. No matter the result of the rouse check, the desired effect, using discipline power, bending damage, and adding additional die, always triggers. The rouse check only determines if the hunger increases as a result. Cool. If it does, add a hunger die after the effect resolves. Right. Okay. I agree, the hunger mechanic is pretty neat. Yeah, I think so. But already, the thing is, I don't know about yourself, or anyone that's watching, it feels there's a lot to it. And again, I wish it was all on 1 page and it wasn't with 3 columns. It's fine. I'm getting used to this. Feeding. Drinking blood reduces a vampire's hunger level by a fixed amount. Draining a human of blood, thereby killing them, is the only way to reduce hunger to 0. It takes time and care to drink blood properly. The blood of a vampire is euphoric to the victim, due to the vampire fangs having a supernatural intoxicating effect as they pierce the blood vessel. If the vampire takes time to hit a vein or an artery correctly and licks the wound closed afterwards, the victim may only remember the encounter as a hazy drug trip, an interlude of weird sex, or a delirious fog of drunken intimacy. As a general rule, attempting while feeding to preserve the victim's life, health, and ignorance, all of which are of course to preserve the masquerade, takes longer than simply ripping open an artery and slurping down on the red stuff. On the other hand, the victim who fights back slows things down and endangers the masquerade. A vampire can drain and kill a helpless or otherwise unresisting human within roughly 5 turns. Roughly. Give or take, depends on how good you are. Pete can do it in 4. For the purpose of this quick start, taking a non-lethal sip from a human reduces hunger by 1 or 2. Completely draining a human reduces it by 5, including the last hunger dice. Draining several animals may also reduce the hunger by 1. Ah yes, you get the... What's that book called, the UK book? Is it The Little Vampire? Where they all drink the milk of cows and the cows become vampiric? I can't remember. I watched that film. Alright, so these are the scenes. What I might do... I'll go through this first chapter, and then what I might do, because I don't want to... because it's not very long, I'll say. It's not very long. I think it was there are 4 chapters in this. I'll see how we go, but because we're only on page 8 out of 43, so maybe it's going to be quite short, but I'll be appreciative of, if it's a bit grim, I won't read it out. If it... Vampire the Masquerade. It's a bit grim, isn't it? That's why I probably never play it. This thing, I bet I would really love it. And I love, similar to The Between, I loved how dark and gothic it is, and even that sort of little bits of romance and flirtations in it. But I think I'm just a UK person. I just cannot take it seriously at all. I'm just sort of like, nope. No, thank you. So, Scene 1, the meeting, the contact. This scene throws the character straight in and serves as an introduction to the scenario. Players should leave with a basic outline of what's happened and some idea of what to do next. Begin the scene by asking the players where they want to set up the meeting with their contact and set the scene there. Depending on your players, this could be a parking lot, a local dive, a deserted stretch of road, that's quite cool, I like that idea, or whatever else occurs to the characters. After setting the scene, ask each player in turn for a physical description of their character. Detective Robert Webb arrives on time and is more nervous about the meeting than meeting what he knows to be the undead than he is about the clandestine nature of the meeting. Whoa, what a sentence. He gives the players an outline of the victims and what the police knows, which is not a lot since he stalled the investigation on purpose to give the player characters time to take care of business, and then is available for questions. He also gives the coterie a number where they can reach him if they need anything. Oh, I'm okay with hearing about the adventure but wouldn't run it. That's what I meant before when I said I was out. No, I totally agree, Brian. But also, there's bits of it as well where sometimes you don't want to read out stuff as well. So, and that's for me as well. So I'm just maybe doing that as a reminder for myself. But I appreciate it. Thank you for commenting on that. Today I learned that celerity means rapid of motion or action. Yes. So if we go to Alien Sheet, you see there it's got the sort of skills. That basically, once you get your discipline, you can get additional aspects of it. So Cat's Grace and Fleetness. So that always adds up to celerity there. Which is a word you never really say that much. And who knows if I'm saying it right. But I like the idea that this Robert Webber person comes in and he goes, okay, you can ask me about the investigation. I don't know anything because I've stalled it till you came here. The victims. 2 victims have been found so far, and the state of the bodies leaves no doubt that the murderers are connected. Oh, the murders are connected. I'm sure the murderers are also connected to this. Both bodies now reside in the local morgue, awaiting processing. Simon Drummer, college jock. Victim number 1, Simon Drummer, was found 4 days ago, tucked away in a storm drain. Oh, brutal. They're so big, those storm drains in the US. Sorry, it's just because in the UK we don't have anything like that, so it's kind of wild when I see them in the US. Unfortunately, recent rains have made a mess of the crime scene. Ugh, typical. Simon was a strapping young lad in his early 20s, attending college in another state, but home over a hiatus in his studies. He gives the impression of being an all-American young man and often poses with the football sweater of his team. Carl Thrush. Sorry. The basement cooker. Victim number 2, Carl Thrush, was found 2 days ago in a corpse of trees, splayed on a rock and emptied of blood, which is why Webber immediately contacted Sam. The site has been cleared out, but little else of note has been found. Carl was a man in his mid-30s and still lived in his parents' basement and had no registered place of work. Despite the popular images of such individuals, he was quite a looker. A roll of intelligence and finance, difficulty 3. Let's see what we've got for intelligence. Intelligence, so for Aileen has got 2, and finance. Yeah, nothing else. It'd just be 2. Oh, sure. Unless she rolled like a super success, or a critical or messy critical. But here's the other thing as well. I mean, I'm sure you noticed this, but I've just realised this. Is that the skills are put in the set, are put in their related columns to the attributes. So all these skills are related to physical ones, and similar here. There's another game that does that. I can't remember what it is, because all I'm thinking about is Call of Cthulhu, but I was like, no, that just has lots of columns of skills in alphabetical order. So. Cool. Alright. So unless Aileen did a cracking job, probably wouldn't get very far. But yeah, a roll of intelligence plus finance reveals that he was living larger than he should be able to afford, even if supported financially by his parents. Proceed to scene 2 as soon as the coterie has asked their questions and are prepared to move on with their investigation. Scene 2, nightly investigations. I like the idea that, like in silent movies, I know other film genres do this as well, where they put up like the sort of interstitial still, and it's like nightly investigations like that. I'm just thinking Only Lovers Left Alive. That's what I'm thinking of with this scene. So. This is an open-ended scene where the player characters are free to investigate the murders as they see fit and should be fertile ground for skill tests. Proceed to the next scene when the players have run out of ideas and or when play loses steam. Wow. Give the player characters a moment to discuss their approach and decide who will do what. It is up to them if they wish to proceed as a group or split up to cover more ground. If the latter, balance the scenes so that each team has roughly the same amount of time in the spotlight. Ask each player in turn what they want their characters to do during the first night. Below are some examples of leads they might want to pursue, but be prepared to improvise as well if the players come up with something unexpected. So, one location they could go to is the morgue. So the bodies of the victims are still in the county morgue, awaiting processing. At night, a single attendant is there burning the midnight oil. The characters can gain access by breaking in with a roll of wits and larceny. That's difficulty 3. How are we doing for that? To larceny. Oh, is that not on the show? Oh, it's over here. Oh, okay. My bad. It doesn't make any sense either. So wits, larceny. Only a 2 there. So again, Aileen would not do well. Poor Aileen. Bribing the attendant with a roll of manipulation, persuasion, difficulty 3. Manipulation, persuasion. Oh yeah. Go distract. Aileen could go distract. That's what she'll do. Or impersonating law enforcement with manipulation, subterfuge. 3 and so I could do that. Would not advise it. The difficulty there is 4. It is also possible to simply call Sam or Webber to ask them to pull strings. Nah, players won't remember them. It'll be too late. If the characters gain access, they can examine the bodies using intelligence and medicine. Sorry, I'm jumping back and forth, but I want to know. Intelligence, medicine. Oh, no. Aileen's not interested in that. Only got 2 dice in that. If several characters are present, only one with the highest dice pool rolls, and add 1 die for each other character present with at least 1 dot in medicine. Oh, that's quite good. So you're helping, but only if you actually are proficient in that stat. Yeah. If they subvert the attendant, the characters will be able to provide some basic information. CSI stuff is certainly possible, but it will take weeks. Okay. Oh, and they've got a little table about how many successes. Oh, that's quite good. I quite like that. Okay, so either they're bodies and they've been subjected to significant violence, best not to look too closely. Let's go up 5. Let's see what it's worth. So the victims were likely incapacitated with a blow to the head and only later slashed. There seems to be no pre-mortem damage, which clashes somewhat with the rage theory. Oh, you get everything on and below your level of success. Okay. Both bodies have been savaged with some sort of slashing weapon. Care has been taken to slash the major arteries, and there is much less blood present in the bodies than there should be. In both cases, there are significant head traumas from blunt objects as well. The attacker seems an odd mix of competent and furious. There's no fang marks anywhere on the bodies, but given the kindred's ability to close the fang marks with saliva, this does not rule out a vampire assailant. Okay. There is a little subterfuge here. The murderer seems to have acted out of rage, and given the crimes of passion usually involve people with knowledge of one another, these were probably not random victims. Murder scenes. Unfortunately, there's very little at the 2 murder scenes. Some blood from the victim can be found on the second scene if one really looks, but this says nothing the coterie don't already know. Note: Joanna can talk to animals at the 2 scenes, and they confirm that somebody did indeed kill someone there. There was also a lot of blood. Oh, excellent. I don't know if anyone's been playing Baldur's Gate 3 at all. I've yet to. I mean, I'd rather be reading books because I just know I'm just going to suck all my time into Baldur's Gate 3. But lots of videos are coming out just now about like talking to animals using the Speak with Animals spell, and how that the dogs are like, hi, oh, run, oh, home, and the cats are like, what do you want? Flesh bag. Excuse me. The police precinct. So here's another location they could go to. So going to see the police is unwise. The characters likely have no credible alibis and little reason to be in the area. Drawing attention to themselves from the authorities is a bad idea. See dealing with law enforcement. There's also nothing the police can tell the coterie that Detective Webber can't. Should the coterie go there against better judgment, Webber will call them shortly afterwards to berate them. Incredible. The families. Interviewing the families of the victims under whatever pretext is a straightforward task, and they are a little confused that the police haven't done so already. Unless approached early in the night, they will be asleep when the characters arrive. Okay, that's really good to know. Simon Drummer's family is very forthcoming and best interviewed with a charisma persuasion roll. Persuasion, yeah. Oh gosh, 6 dice. Oh yeah, Alien's good at this. So let's go from the bottom. So Simon once confessed he felt pressure to live up to the expectations and thus could get a little rough with girls because that's what they liked and what is demanded of him by other guys. His parents made him apologise to every one of his former girlfriends when they discovered this. Ooh. Simon was a good kid, really. It was just that sometimes they made him so angry, you know. Several girlfriends have claimed Simon has been less than a perfect gentleman with them. All slander about him is basically bluntly false and will not be repeated. Simon has no enemies and was well liked by everyone. The coterie gets nothing but polite pleasantries. Carl's Thrush family is less forthcoming and want nothing to do with the coterie, even if they claim to be the police. They can be forced to talk with a charisma intimidation check if the coterie is okay with bullying information out of a traumatized family. Intimidation. Yeah, I mean, still quite good for Aileen with 4 dice there. Okay, so actually we'll go off the other way. No, fuck off. Whoever you are, fuck off. Carl claimed to have plenty of enemies. People wished him ill and often assaulted him. His parents have never seen these people. Carl was a successful businessman and paid for a room and board at his parents' place. Carl instructed his parents to get rid of all his stuff if something happened, so his parents burnt it. He had a lot of chemistry equipment, a computer, and bundles of unsent packages. Carl's business involved a lot of chemistry, strange smells, and a lot of packages going out. He had all contacts on his computer. Carl was deeply paranoid and lately complained that someone was stalking him. AFK, whatever that means. Away from keyboard? Asking around, canvassing the neighbourhood is done with a resolve plus investigation or streetwise. Resolve, investigation. Oh, no. Or streetwise. No. Oh, gosh. Nah, not for Aileen. Won't do that. Let's see. And the results vary with what the characters are asking about. Allow anyone who's spending significant time asking around to roll and purchase appropriate clues for the players. They don't automatically get everything on the lower levels. Oh, interesting. So no successes, they get nothing. Suspicious people have been sneaking about lately. The police here are corrupt. True, as the character should know. Simon's trollops like it rough. Everyone knows that. Not true. Carl is a basement creep who deserved what he's got. Not true. If you got 2 successes, the folks around here are pious and righteous. All the people around here are suspicious of authority and like to take matters into their own hands. The postmaster always carries a heavy load to and from Carl's place. Large packages go in, small packages come out. Harry Lloyd is a known stalker and murderer who served his time. He lived round here and the people have given him the what for many times, excuse me. But he is protected by the police. This is true. People here are suspicious and superstitious, prone to vicious gossip and mob mentality. There are monsters out there that need to be hunted down without mercy. True, but not in the way they think. 4 successes give you a goon. A suit and his goons have been poking around lately. They drive 2 fancy cars and look dangerous. True, this is Marcus Lecter, see below. There are generally no homeless people here. Not true, but people claim to have seen a vagrant several times at night. This is the victim in scene 3. People in this region take an active stance when it comes to making sure the community is safe from monsters. The authorities turn a blind eye even if they know. And if you get like lots of successes, Simon has been beaten Simon has severely beaten several girls from school over the years. Carl was the crack king of the county and sold to everyone, including minors. The fancy suit is staying in a fancy motel off the 56. Oh, the fancy suit is staying at a fancy motel off the 56. This is where Marcus Lecter sleeps during the day. Right, yes, I remember now. Marcus Lecter, the clot collector. What a rhyme. Excuse me. Hitting the books. Searching the archives for similar crimes in the area yields nothing unless a character scores 4 or more successes on a resolve investigation roll. In this case, they discover that something did happen in the neighborhood in the neighboring region 30 years ago, but this was carefully expunged from all records. See chapter 3. The characters are chasing their own tail there. Oh, here. Looking for possible suspects also uses resolve and investigation and reveals the existence and address of Harry Lloyd with 3 successes. And seeking the history of the region gives nothing substantial. And then, oh cool, so you had these like locations where they can go and there's some encounters and you deliberately say that the encounters are here they are, etc. Cool. If the players uncover Harry Lloyd's existence, they might decide to go pay him a visit. Otherwise, he features heavily in the next chapter. If they ask Webber about it, he says he doesn't keep a track of every ex-con who's committed a crime back when Reagan was president. Harry has nothing to offer except to stress his innocence, and with a wit's insight, difficulty 3, wit's insight, wits is 2, insight, where are you? Insight is 2, oh, 4, not too bad. One gets the impression he's telling the truth. Intimidation yields nothing but a sobbing wretch of a man who begs for mercy. Encounter Marcus Lecter. At some point, the players should be contacted by one of Marcus's goons who says his boss wants to meet. It's also possible that the coterie goes out to confront Marcus after hearing the talk on the town. Regardless, the scene plays out the same. The goon will reveal that Marcus is of the blood and an interested party, nothing more. If the coterie refuses, Marcus will instead seek them out and be significantly less polite. He can also contact the coterie through Sam if necessary. If asked, Sam is cautious when it comes to Marcus and offers no advice. Marcus knows of the coterie's mission through the grapevine and has a proposition for them, which he makes after small talk at the motel, where he stays. A wit's awareness roll reveals Marcus's goons significantly armed and equipped with Tasers. They've also brought a disguised ambulance and restraints. Marcus collects, oh lord, Cricus clots, rare formations of human blood that have mystical properties. He claims that the clots of serial killers are the best, as they take away all the guilt, all the anguish from that most pleasurable activity. If the coterie finds the murderer, Marcus wants him or her alive and is offering the coterie a major boon, as a footnote, as payment. Should they find but not give him the murderer, he will be most displeased but does not elaborate. A favour, so this is a boon, a major boon, a favour in kindred parlance. A major boon from someone as powerful as Marcus is a significant gain for the coterie, who otherwise will stand to gain only the lack of displeasure from their master for a job well done. Scene 3, the third victim. Oh, interesting. I've just realised that this I know it sounds so silly. Are we talking about scene? Like, is it scenes as in, like, I thought it was chapters they were doing, so in the next chapter this, etc. But scene 3 is the third victim, so I wonder if that is, like, that's what they meant, rather than chapters. Cause, yeah, anyway, just a way of splitting it up. Sorry. Speaking out loud. Scene 3 begins with Detective Webber calling the coterie to inform them that there's been another murder, the third murder, and this time the players can be first on the scene. This is likely to occur in the beginning of the second or third night, depending on how long the players have been investigating. However, at the end of the night also works well, as this will make the beginning of the next chapter a race against the sun as well. Webber directs them to a long-abandoned apartment building a ways from the town proper, and asks the characters to contact him with instructions when they are done at the scene. He expects to be told to either clean it up, call it in, or do nothing. He will not join them. On the third floor, there is an obvious squat where someone has been living for quite some time. There's a rudimentary scavenged furniture, bedding, and drug paraphernalia. In one of the rooms lies the corpse of a vagrant, similarly savaged as the earlier victims, but visibly less so. As usual, ask the players in turn what they want to do in the scene. Scenes are the subsectors of chapters in this adventure. Yes, I think that's it. Just because I think it said the third victim was going to be in the third chapter. That's why I was sort of like, about it. So, but yes, you're right. They are subsections of the chapters. Investigating the corpse. The victim has not been drained of blood, evident from the fact that she lies in a huge pool of it. The youthful face is untouched, and composure investigation, difficulty 2, reveals that there is a significantly less slashing than on the previous victims, as if the murderer suddenly stopped. 3 successes reveals that the cuts seem more methodical. Investigating the squat. Looking through the vagrant's modest belongings reveals nothing except that she was a drug user, poor and probably miserable. 3 successes on composure investigation reveals unsent letters tucked away where the writer begs to be taken back by her family. Oh, that's quite sad, isn't it? It would have been nice to have a little bit more about her in the DP at the beginning. Because otherwise we don't really have a balance of genders in our NPCs. Investigating the house. The house is largely empty, but a wits awareness roll, difficulty 3, reveals a second squat behind some loose boards. This looks more temporary, with a decent sleeping bag, a stove, and MREs. I don't know what that is. I assume it's some sort of supplies. It also contains a small box with locks of hair. Trophies from Simon and Carl, but this might not be directly evident. Oh, grim. This room is not sunproof, and tape and blue tack remnants on the wall suggest that something was torn down in a hurry. The murderer has stayed here for a period of time, and if they understand this, the findings should convince the coterie that the murderer isn't a vampire. I feel that's something that the storyteller's going to have to really paint out, though. Tracking the murderer. Summoning a dog and tracking down a murderer is a brilliant idea and leads the coterie to the room described above. Have the character only roll for the use of the discipline, and don't make a separate roll for tracking. Before the coterie can track the murderer in the opposite direction, the dog bays, and Chapter 2 begins. There we go. Keeping watch, idling. If no character purposely keeps watch, as they have very little incentive to do so, allow any character who idles or merely assists another character with a wits awareness roll to notice several shapes moving in the darkness outside the building. Proceed to Act 2. Note, rolling for any watching idling characters lasts, as their action effectively moves play to the next act. Oh, interesting. I like that. I guess obviously, like, is anyone doing anything? And people are like, not sure. And then someone does all the things and they go, oh, but I'm watching for something. I always have them go last. That's quite good there. Yeah, proceed to Act 2. Chapter 2. Right, yes. In this chapter, the heat is turned up quite literally. Oh, a fire coming then. And the scenario shifts from the low-key investigation to more frantic action. After the build-up of the first chapter, it should highlight and bring to the fore the theme of the scenario. The rules in this chapter are the basic conflict rules and damage. Okay, great. Conflict happens in a flurry of blows, theoretical or physical. When each participant in the conflict has acted once or declined to act, that defines a turn. Turns take as much time as the narrative indicates they should. Thus, one roll does not necessarily represent one swing of the baseball bat, unless a storyteller says it does. At the start of the turn of the conflict, each player declares their intent, i.e. what they are trying to achieve. In a physical conflict, this could be anything from trying to tackle the driver of an escaping motorcycle to simply taking cover. Conflict pools. The dice pool each participant uses in a conflict turn is called their conflict pools. In a physical fight, the conflict pool might, for example, be strength plus brawl or composure plus firearms. Let's see. Strength plus brawl, so nothing there for Alien. Or was it wits plus firearms? Oh, nothing there, gosh. Not much of a fighter, our Alien. Characters can sometimes change pools during the conflict, for instance, if they change weapons. Both the attacker and defender roll their pools simultaneously in a basic conflict. The side that scores the most successes wins that turn of conflict. The winner subtracts the loser's success from their total and applies the remaining as damage, see below. If the conflict is one-sided, such as when the defender is trying to avoid getting shot, only the attacker can inflict damage. Yeah. If both participants are able to cause harm to the other opponent, the conflict is two-sided, with both sides counting as attackers. In this case, the actions of both parties merge into a single conflict roll. A tie results in both parties inflicting 1 point of damage on each other. Remember to add weapon damage if applicable. See it below. Okay. Ranged weapons. Ranged combat is resolved as a contest, usually between the defender's dexterity and athletics. Usually versus the defender's dexterity and athletics. In cases where two combatants are attacking each other at range, you can resolve it as a two-sided firearm conflict. See above, right? This assumes that the subjects have access to limited cover, such as a car or a corner of a building. A character with no available cover subtracts 2 dice from their defense pool. Ah, brutal. I'd have that in bold as well, just so people can see that. Dodging. When engaged in a brawl or melee conflict, the defender can always opt to use their dexterity athletics instead of a combat skill to defend. When they do, they inflict no damage on the opponent no matter what the margin if they win. In a conflict where teaming up makes sense, a character facing multiple opponents loses 1 die from their pool for each successive opponent that targets them. Ooh, brutal. You have to keep an eye on that, I guess. In order to attack multiple foes with a single action, the character must split their attack dice pool. Oh. In a physical conflict, damage targets health. The winner of each contest applies their success margin to the loser's relevant tracker as damage. Yeah, so... Gosh, she's only got 4 health. That's pretty brutal for Aileen. She isn't a fighter, so it makes sense. Sometimes circumstances mandate extra damage after this contest. If you've used a weapon, add the relevant weapon damage to the total. Oh, that's it for the moment. Excuse me. Types of damage. Comes in 2 types. Superficial damage. Bruises, sprains, grazes, and the like, but not immediately life-threatening injuries. Fists, kicks, and non-lethal weapons such as tasers do superficial damage to humans. Standard weapons such as handguns and blades do superficial damage to vampires. Aggravated damage. Broken bones, wounds, and life-threatening injuries. Sharp and piercing weapons do aggravated damage to humans, and fire, sunlight, and claws and teeth of some supernatural creatures do aggravated damage to vampires. Characters can apply their damage to their health track, unless otherwise stated. Divide superficial damage in half, rounded up before applying it to the tracker. Okay, that's good to know. Mark each level of superficial damage on the character sheet by making a forward slash on one of the box. That's what it meant. No one ever told me that when I was playing, so I was just doing that over and over again. I was like, I'm not taking much damage. Mark aggravated damage on a character sheet by making it an X. Well, it's quite good to know that if you've got to mark the different kinds of damage, presumably it means something. Yes. Impairment. Once the character sustains enough damage of either type or a mix to fill their tracker, they are impaired. They lose 2 dice from all relevant dice pools, physical pools, and any other pools that the storyteller believes to be similarly weakened. At the storyteller's discretion, mortals are incapacitated at this stage. For every level of damage of either kind, superficial or aggravated, a character takes whilst impaired, convert one of the previously sustained damage to aggravated damage for 1-for-1 basis. Turn it into a cross. Okay. Remember to halve the superficial damage as well as usual as before converting it. Okay. A character with their tracker completely filled with aggravated damage is out of the conflict, possibly permanently. In a physical combat, they are comatose or dead if mortal, or fall into torpor if a vampire. In this quick start, this effectively takes the character out of the scenario. Oh, interesting. Vampires can heal 1 superficial damage level per turn by making a rouse check. But is that your bit done then? Is that like your full action? Or is that one you could do at the side? I assume it's one you could do at the side, but who knows? Okay. This scene is a pure action scene where the players are trying to escape from a posse of monster hunters who think they are hunting a serial killer and believe most human evil to be of supernatural origin. What complicates matters is the fact that simply killing the characters probably isn't compatible with keeping a low profile and preserving the masquerade. Note that it's quite possible that the scene ends quickly if the characters bolt first thing, especially if they spot the hunters early. Unbeknownst to the coterie, another party has been frantically searching for the killer, but have up to this point been confined to psyching themselves up in a garage. This night, the murderer was spotted and the posse springs into action. Unfortunately for them, they are no smooth operators, and by the time they get there, the coterie is there instead. If the coterie spotted a posse in this previous chapter, give them a minute or 2 to react before the hunters reach them. If not, the hunters storm them right on, having already seen them. Just like before, and as described in the rules above, ask each player what their characters do, and then perform roughly 3 turns of combat, during which the smart players will likely try to escape. If things are not concluded, add 1 or 2 extra turns, assuming the action is entertaining. After that, if the coterie is still trying to escape, let them escape. And if they're holding up against the posse retreats. You, as a storyteller, will have to determine the size of the posse depending on the difficulty level you want, but roughly 6 or so combatants is a good number. Never mind individual stats for the posse members, instead using the fixed die roll for all their rolls. If you're a storyteller that wants to roll less dice, you can always just assign the opposing NPC half their pool. Sorry, my voice is going. I'll take a proper drink of water. If you are a storyteller, if you as a storyteller want to roll less dice, you can also just assign the opposing NPCs half their pool rounded up in successes and only let the players roll dice. Okay, yes, I understand. Yeah. Roughly half the posse are war veterans, have 6 dice in their pool, and are armed with AR-15s, +1 to the attack pool, damage free, or shotguns, damage +4. They have 6 boxes in their health tracker. The rest have 4 dice, and the rest have 4 dice and are armed with baseball bats, golf clubs, and similar weapons, which is just +2, and have 5 boxes in their health tracker. If you really want to spice things up, have 1 or 2 armed with a Molotov cocktails, damage 0 but aggravated versus vampires. Again, would prefer this like set it out properly, because I've had to read that through and I'm just going like, wait, what? Like this should be like a very clear cut, like war veteran, have their dice box, have the they've got 6 dice in the pool. That's 3 successes when they attack. And what was the other one that they had? The rest have 2, so 2 successes. The rest have 4, 2 successes there. What are the coterie massacres the posse? Well, if they hide the bodies and no one lives to tell the tale, nothing happens before the end of the scenario. However, this amount of missing people will sooner or later cause a stir, and the coterie is, well, quite literally cooked when it reaches Sam's ears. If they only kill some of the posse and the rest escape, the manhunt is quickly on as the posse members spin their tails. Sam will have no option but to pull the characters out. The storyteller should be merciless when it comes to the consequences of solving one's problems with naked violence and wholesale butchery. Oh, what a great line. If this scene took place early in the night, start the next scene as soon as the players have had an hour or so to catch their breath. If it took place late in the night, the next scene starts as soon as the players wake up for the next evening. Scene 2, Scapegoat. Depending on the time, this scene takes part either early or late in the night. It is open-ended and requires the players to make some hard choices. It begins when Detective Webber calls with an emerging opportunity. The third victim has sprung the community into action, and they're already named their monster Harry Lloyd. They are now on their way to meet out some mob justice. Webber thinks this is excellent, and suggests that the murders be pinned on Harry. All the coterie need to do is make sure that Harry doesn't survive his encounter with the crowd. Dead men get no counsel and present no alibis, and it will be quite easy for Webber to wrap everything up later. Give the coterie a moment to discuss the idea and what to do. Ideally, the coterie should have a thing or two to say on the morals of the situation. If they decide to do nothing, have Sam call them and give them a piece of her mind. This time, it's not optional. If they still decide to do nothing, Harry is placed in a coma by the mob, and they will be in trouble with Sam later. Disobedience amongst kindred carries a stiff and often fatal price. Proceed to scene 3. If the coterie decides to act either to blame Harry or to save him, the coterie will be in the same spot. Not long ago, after all. Oh, the coterie was in the same spot not long ago. The scene proceeds to Harry's house, which is now besieged by several angry townspeople, working themselves up into a storm. What happens next is up to the coterie. Below are some examples. If they are passive, the crowd eventually storms the house and beats Harry into a coma as above. At this point, the coterie can sneak up to Harry in the commotion and finish the job with a manipulation plus stealth. If they try to rile up the crowd and make them kill Harry, charisma plus performance difficulty 3, or manipulation plus performance difficulty 4, depending on whether the characters are talking directly to the crowd or hiding amongst them, playing along. At least 2 characters need to succeed in whipping up the crowd to make them do the deed. Many of them look quite distraught afterwards, having not counted on things going that far. If they want to talk to the crowd into leaving, use the same pools but with 1 difficulty higher, since the crowd is far gone already. Sneaking around the house and getting Harry out the back requires a distraction. There are members of the crowd surrounding the house, likely wits subterfuge. Difficulty 2, the crowds are easy to manipulate. Followed by composure and larceny to get in. Harry needs a little convincing to come along if the characters promise to help. Convincing Harry to show himself and yell "gun" and simply shooting himself is a resolve plus subterfuge, followed by composure and firearms. Webber will take care of the rest. Inventive coterie is going to probably come up with some more ideas. What if the coterie just fights the mob? That's just silly. Either they are overwhelmed or kill enough people to make the crowd flee, subsequently becoming America's most wanted, hunted by humans and vampires alike. However, causing a ruckus to make the crowd target them instead is a viable distractionary tactic. Regardless of the outcome, a period of calm follows before the wheels of the world grind on and Scene 3 begins at least one night later. Scene 4, the fourth victim. Oh, we've just come from Scene 3, so that's a mistake. Starts with a call from Webber. A fourth victim has been found, and this time there's no keeping a lid on it. When the vampires were sleeping, a janitor stumbled upon the corpse of Mike Clark, male model and sex worker, in a suite at a nearby hotel. This time, the coterie is told that the murder scene is more elaborate, and the police are all over it. Unfortunately, Webber himself has not got access. This scene culminates with the big reveal of the scenario, leading to a flashback in Chapter 3. The main difficulty is getting access to the crime scene, which is cordoned off. Options include, but are not limited to, sneaking in late at night. The police don't like to work late and will post a couple of uniforms on the outside of the suite to make sure that the crime scene isn't tainted. Impersonating law enforcement is difficult but doable with a character subterfuge. Difficulty 5. Oh, that's quite big. Subduing the officers is also possible but might raise questions later. Distracting them with say for example, a fire alarm could work. Climbing in from the outside is quite difficult, as the window could also be forced without the officers hearing anything. While simultaneously climbing... Oh, sorry, my tone's all over the place with that one. Climbing in from the outside is quite difficult, as the window will have to be forced without the officers overhearing anything. While simultaneously climbing, dexterity plus whatever is the lower of athletics, and lastly, difficulty 5. Any subsequent investigation will also have to be quiet. The easiest solution is to call Sam. Call Sam. Better call Sam, and ask for her help. Less than an hour later, the characters will have permission to investigate the scene. I read ahead whilst you were talking, and Chapter 3 is wild. I understand why they built this adventure this way, but wow. Oh, well, I'm excited, Brian. Well, I'm glad you're reading along at home. That's quite cool. As soon as they gain access, the characters realise that the scene is indeed more elaborate in a way that provokes instant recognition. The body has been staged and extensively savaged, but in an attempt to recreate something from the coterie's past, rather than in a rage. On the wall is a message that has baffled the police but has greater meaning to the coterie. 4 for 4. Chapter 2 immediately ends as the coterie is catapulted into the past. Ooh, wow. Wow. Oh, wow. Incredible. It's like... I'm trying to read that writing. I was like, oh well, I don't think it matters. Monsters we are. Cool. So this chapter is in flashback, probably significantly shorter than the previous two. In it, the coterie learns of who the real monsters are. Storytelling a flashback can be tricky if the players don't play along and cooperate. Should they not, don't hesitate to take a break and talk about what you expect from a flashback scene. Otherwise, keep the scenes quick and crisp, cutting down as soon as the central message of the scene has been shown. The chronology of the scenes are broken, as trips down memory lane are wont to be. Therefore, make sure each scene is carefully set. Start by handing the players the handout from the appendix and give them a moment to read the description and the clues for the first scene. If they happen to glance at the later scenes, that's no problem. As you begin scene 2 and 3, give the players a moment to read their cues for that scene. This scene should ideally be run diceless. Oh, great, love that. If the characters want to use disciplines, remind them that this is 30 years ago, right after they became vampires, and they only have access to a single power, the first in their 2 dot disciplines, so the free one. Wait. single power. The first and 2 dots, but I don't know what. So maybe presence, perhaps. In the scene, the will-be coterie has to deal with the immediate aftermath of them having brutally slain and savaged a human being. Set the scene in a multi-room hotel suite in the wee hours of the morning, with the players snapping to after a fog of frenzy. Oh, that's the blood thing, isn't it? Yeah. A state of which the vampire's true nature, sometimes called the beast, comes to the fore, overriding the senses and making the vampire into its basic instincts. And finding themselves standing over the bloody corpse of a person. They are covered in blood. Simply ask them, so what are you going to do? Allow the players a few moments of roleplay, but just as they go into problem-solving mode, add fuel to the fire as a young partygoer flings open the door to the suite, yelling, "Coca delivery!" As he takes in the carnage and braces to scream. He's likely not long for this world, and the vampires have claimed their second victim of the night. Allow the players a few more moments before you increase the pressure a third time as another partygoer, perhaps a footballer, comes into the adjoining room asking what the hubbub is about. This time, the coterie has a little bit more leeway, but don't make it easy for them. As soon as the scene has progressed far enough that the characters are getting desperate, preferably with multiple people banging on the door of the suite asking what's going on, multiple crises, all of them threatening catastrophe, cut to the next scene, which takes place an hour or two previously. So, in the scene, the coterie learns how what Scene 1 came to be and the terrible price for denying the beast. This scene should be description heavy and preferably contain less dialogue. Don't worry if the scene becomes choppy and surreal. The characters' memories of this period is foggy at best. Set the scene in the lobby and adjoining restaurant of a large hotel with a throng of people milling about. We're at a party of a large conference and the mood is high. Everyone is getting lost in the throes of the free booze, loud music and the company of their fellows. Everyone except the characters, who so far have refused to feed from humans but are increasingly debilitated by their hunger. They have been set up at the hotel by their fellow kindred, Sam, who wants to teach them the ropes of vampire existence. Ask the players what their characters do in a setting such as this and emphasise the constant dark impulses that assail them, especially so close to so many humans. After a while, cut to the suite, and as the characters desperately seek to be amongst less people, are afraid of what they might do otherwise. At the suite, give the players a moment to roleplay their fear and loathing of their alien, monstrous nature. The humans there quickly leave, but at least one person remains, placed there by Sam, but the characters do not know this. Oh, shoot. Suddenly walking in on the players stating, "I'm here for you." The characters' visions turn blood red and cut to scene 3. Oof. Scene 3 is calm, cool, and calculated. It takes place slightly after scene 2, where the puzzle pieces finally fall into place. The connection with the present becomes evident. This is a dialogue-only scene. Again, I would have, like, any of those rules for scenes saying, like, oh, you're gonna meet, here are the encounters, here's the thing. I would put, like, dialogue only at the top just so people can see it. Or put it in bold or something. Just so it's just easier for you as a storyteller to be able to be like, oh, we're not going to do any rolls, you know. Set the scene at the suite, well removed from the mess in the other rooms. With the players is Sam, who, in exchange for future favours, has agreed to help them. Address the players as Sam and ask what they want to do about all this mess. She shoots down any suggestions to call in the cleaners or anything of the like. Eventually, someone will come up with the idea to dress it as the work of a serial killer, and Sam agrees that is a good idea. Depending on how many people the characters have killed so far, Sam will reply along the lines of, well, we'll have to pad the statistics, i.e. murder more people, a little bit to make it more believable later. To make it look more believable, but that's for another day. Let the characters discuss the details of this approach for a while, and this time go full on problem solving. End the scene and the chapter when somebody mentions that they should leave a message from the killer 4 for 4. If the players seem not to understand this, if the players seem not to understand that this is what bonds them to the coterie, of course, because there's 4 of them, what is alluded to in their character descriptions and what places them under the Sam's thumb, make sure all these pieces fall into place. I wonder, there's no description on that character sheet. But note: make sure to check in with your players after this chapter and perhaps take a short break if the play has been emotionally exhausting. Yeah, great shout there. Absolutely agree. Chapter 4. What should we do with monsters? Not at first, but right there in the last instant. It's an unmistakable relief. See, because they were afraid, and now they... Oh, I see. It's... Sorry, these are the quotes at the beginning. I don't need to read those. That's fine. This is the final chapter of the scenario in which the coterie confronts the monster and perhaps themselves while making some hard decisions. There's no additional rules in this chapter, so let's go. Given that the coterie now knows that the killer is connected to their own previous deeds, they should be able to identify and track the murderer quite easily. Set the scene wherever the players desire, sometime after the events in Chapter 2. Looking into the identities of the victims 30 years ago quickly reveals that one of them has a living relative who lives an hour's drive away and has been conducting a private investigation of the murders ever since. The scene also gives the coterie the opportunity to tie off any other loose ends, and it could be a good opportunity for another encounter with Marcus Lecter, for example. The scene ends, unsurprisingly, when the coterie goes to confront the monsters. Confrontation. In this scene, the coterie finally confronts the monsters, confirming what they already have guessed and forcing them to decide how they want to end it all. Set the scene on a rural property with one large house. If they make themselves known, Martha invites them in. If they sneak up, Martha is in the living room, patiently waiting the end. Exactly how to play out the scene depends a little on what you expect your players to do and how you think they want their climax. Basically, it boils down to 3 options: confrontation, slasher, and collector. Ooh. The players seem keenest on exploring the morality of the scenario and don't mind a climax with very little action. Martha puts up no physical resistance. Instead, she tries to drive home and twist the knife of guilt and shame as much as possible. The coterie will have to decide what to do with Martha. Give her to the authorities and the needle, risking that the events of 30 years ago surface. Let her go, despite what she has done and the risk she poses. Kill her while staring into the mirror. Slasher. If the players seem to want to give Martha up, or to Lecter or kill her, but we feel cheated of an action climax, you might arrange for a hate-desperation fueled battle between them and Martha. Sorry, my eyes are watering quite a bit because my contacts are hurting me a little bit, so might need to change my glasses in a second. Give me 1 second, I'll grab my glasses. What? Don't know if it's the brightness of the screen or something. That's so weird. Well, I'll have them here just in case. I think I should be alright. Ooh. Dropping everything. As the coterie confronts Martha, she sets the house on fire. Could have seen that coming. We had that earlier, didn't we? Which rapidly becomes a smoke and flame-filled maze. Give Martha a combat pool of 6 dice and a health tracker of 6. She fights with a meat cleaver, and in order to attack her, the characters need to first succeed on a resolve awareness roll, difficulty 4, to both locate her and steel themselves against the vampiric instinct to flee fire. Oh, of course, yes. They have a -2 dice to defenses from Martha's attacks, since she knows the warren that is her home intimately, and is able to attack from surprising angles. All players' characters additionally suffer 1 level of aggravated damage per turn from the fire. Oof, brutal. The coterie either flees the burning building with Martha's fate uncertain, succumbs to Martha and the flames, or kills Martha. A particularly poetic ending would be to have all the monsters perish in the fire. She must have had fate uncertain. She must have died in the fire, for sure. And then the collector climax. If it seems that the characters are not handing Martha to Lecter and do not want to kill her outright, Marcus Lecter comes to collect, even if they told him no previously. He gives them the opportunity to give Martha up voluntarily, then attacks. Marcus himself has 7 combat dice and a health tracker of 8. He reduces all damage received by 2 because of his vampiric resilience. He fights with a saber, whoa, +3. His goons also have 6 dice and a health tracker of 6, as well as their body armor. Convert up to 4 points of aggravated damage to superficial. Oh, that's pretty good. Lecter does not fight to the death, but retreats with a promise to return if impaired. See above. Yep. So all their boxes are filled up. Or if he loses 3 or more people without any progress. There is more important things. It is also more important for him to get away with Martha than to destroy the characters. Scene 3, the conclusion. This scene is for tying up any loose ends and describing what happens next on a longer timescale. It need not be longer than a short description. Depending on the conduct of the coterie, they will be either lauded or chastised by some. In general, if they have caused more ruckus than the original murders, certainly a possibility for some player groups, Sam will be cross. If they have caused less, she will be satisfied, and they will have been smooth. And if they have been smooth, she'll even be nice. Marcus is true to his word if they hand over Martha to him, and now he owes them. They will have to live with the fact that he will most likely subject Martha to the most horrific treatment, as well as use her blood to dull his conscience. Conscious. Yeah, not conscious. Conscious. No, I can't say. I know what I mean. Never mind. Conscious be your guide. There. I'm trying to say the word conscious, and it says I keep saying conscious. That's not it. When still his inner monologue, his inner morality when doing what he wants, when doing what he does. Depending on what they did with Harry, he will either be dead, in a coma, or miserable. Most significant, however, is how the player characters have been changed by the ordeal, and see the epilogue below. There are 2 epilogues for the monsters, based on whether or not the characters embrace their inner beasts during the scenario, or if they manage to hold them at bay. Take a few moments as a group to discuss what ending you think the coterie deserves. Did the coterie express empathy with the murder's victims in Chapter 1? Did they use their disciplines to lord over others? Did they gladly accept Marcus Lecter's offer? Did they express empathy with Harry? Did they butcher the posse in Chapter 2? Did they callously murder Harry? Did they seem perturbed by the revelations? Relativation. No, in Chapter 3. And what did they do at the conclusion of Chapter 4? Does wanting to do good matter if the results are bad? Is it a mitigating circumstance that the penalty for disobedience for the coterie is very harsh? Note that Vampire the Masquerade has a humanity system which regulates how deeply into a bestial state a character has degenerated. Since the quick start is a standalone scenario, the system is abstract here. Okay, good to know. Humanity ending. Despite many threats to it, the coterie has managed to hold on to their humanity for another day. Sooner or later they will all succumb, all vampires eventually do, but for now there is a compromise between themselves and their beasts. And, oh, there you go, there's one for each of these characters. So let's see what Aileen's one is. That's the character she would rot up. Sometimes, if you concentrate real hard, it's almost as if you could have it again. That spark. But no. It was lost with your heartbeat. It doesn't mean you can't still inspire others, of course. Perhaps this is your fate, to be the eternal muse. Oh, very good. Death is not the end. Beast ending. Through inaction, ineptitude, or desire, the beast has been let free to revel in the coterie's dark deed, eroding their humanity and bringing them closer to the dark place where where reason disappears entirely and the vampiric nature lords supreme. You see it now. The answer is right there. It lies in the clots. Oh, the special blood possessed by few, only accessible by the kill. But it can be cultivated, nurtured, infused into the blood with much work. All you need is a subject and exclusive access, and motivation, of course, and pain, the essential ingredients of creativity. Fortunately, you know exactly which buttons to push. Grim. And then we've got some appendixes here. Oh, I see. So this gives you a bit of these are the backstories for the characters per se. A little bit of information, and then the relationships between people. Well, let's have a look. See. Oh, great! It actually cuts out. So you would print this out and then give it to the players, and there's a character sheet there. Let's look at Aileen's one. I like I do like the drawings of them, the illustrations. They're pretty good. Although they did say you didn't matter too much. But let's look at Aileen's one. So Aileen Doss, the muse. A lifetime ago, you were an artist, a talented one at that. Clay and oil on canvas were your tools, and within you a wellspring of inspiration existed like none other. Your art depicted the lighter corners of the world and the high notes of human existence. And one day you met someone who craved just such nourishment. Little did you know, if you dance with the devil doesn't change. Now you are barren, devoid of inspiration, instead you live to see others so elevated. Sometimes when you meet someone truly spectacular, you can take their blood, and for a night you can create again. Come dawn, you always destroy your creations after such a binge. They are for you alone, and you must not see the light of day. Your coterie and tasks serve as a good vessel to find such individuals, as it allows you freedom to travel and opportunities to meet many different individuals, some of which stretch and even break conventions. The coterie has The coterie has also proved that if they can be relied on to take care of matters if necessary. And then some opinions about your fellow fellows. We don't need to go into that, but let's have a look at the disciplines. It might be useful. Whoa, look at that. God, I wish I had hair like that. Beautiful. Alright, so these are the disciplines. So celerity and presence. For our presence, this is the first one we're getting. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Spoilers. Or anyone in the presence of a vampire feels their attention inexplicably drawn to them. Those listening to a vampire speak may suddenly agree on subjects that they previously held different viewpoints on. Whilst this power doesn't cause rapt infatuation, it's still strong enough to sway the minds of most mortals. It's free. Dice pools, manipulation plus presence versus composure and intelligence. Add the presence rating of any skill roll involving persuasion or performance, as well as any other charisma-related rolls at the storyteller's discretion. What's our presence? Probably quite high, right? Presence. Oh, it is here. Add that. Okay, so you would add that to any roll you've got on it. Cool. Anyone aware that they are being affected can try and resist with a contest of composure plus intelligence versus the user's manipulation plus presence. So that's this dice thing up here. On a win, the target can resist the effects for one scene. A critical win means the target is immune for the entire night. Once the power wears off, the victims revert to their previous opinions. During its so this is how long it lasts for. So that's quite interesting. So it doesn't tell you exactly what you gain out of it, but you can really use it to sort of really describe something that your character is doing, which is pretty good. I think I know that, but it's not, you're not put into a little box per se. You can this or discipline. You can use it for I'm going to cause a distraction, or I want this person to focus on me. I'm going to talk to them and give them, or be a way to interrogate someone, you know. And then on the celerity one, we've got Cat's Grace and Fleetness. Cat's Grace, a vampire gains a balance and grace equal to and surpassing world-class trapeze artist. They can walk and even run along ledges and wires effortlessly and keep their balance on the slimmest of supports. It's free. The user automatically passes any dexterity or athletic-based rolls needed to keep their balance. Note that this power does not allow them to balance on support that cannot take their weight. Sure, and it's passive. That's good to know. And then the one up from that is that Fleetness. The Master of Celerity now allows a vampire to move and react with dizzying speed. The cost to use this is 1 rouse check, so that's that D10. D10, and to make sure you on a 1 to 5, then your hunger goes up, but otherwise it's fine. Add the celerity rating to the user's dice pool for non-combative Dexterity tests. Once per turn, a user may also do this when defending with dexterity plus athletics, and that's for one scene as well. Cool. What else have we got in this game? So we've got, oh, Joanne Jones, the cat lady. Oh, adorable. Do we have a cat? No, but whoa, what a cracking image though. Wow. Joanna Jones, sorry. And then a relationship map. Okay, cool. Ah, so you have... Oh, that's quite cool. Nice to have that. Maybe in the centre of the table, perhaps, so that everyone can see it. Or put it online so everyone can see it. And then some handouts as well to give to people. Let's see. Oh, I see. So I'm guessing this... What's this? I'm guessing this is sort of given... Is this given to... In the scene... In that chapter 3, sorry. Just looking at Aileen's one. So I'll read it out. It's only days since you were elevated and turned into a creature of the night. You thought it was going to lead you to new heights of creativity, but already it is like something is missing. There are things that you're still not used to, and why you've been associated with these other riffraff is a mystery. It is back. You can see it, and you thought it was gone. This rapture is indescribable, and all you have to do is... Oh... that's unfortunate. What to do? No witnesses, that has to be the first priority. You don't remember which one of you decided to call Sam. Perhaps it was you. It has been days since you last ate. Oh, you ate last. The hunger's getting to you. You walk amongst the food, and they are everywhere. But you cannot, and you will not do it. This will pass, but being here amongst them, the impulses are too distracting. Better retreat somewhere and think. If you could only take a little drink, that will clear your head, but no, you won't do it. The blood muse is still with you, and you can feel it fading. It is time to show what you can do when it is there. We can solve this together. Exactly who came up with what you do not remember, but you do remember that the 4 for 4 phase is a message from the killer. That was your idea. A last blast of creativity. And perhaps guilt. Oh, brutal. Aileen. And there you go. And that's the quick start. So there you go. So it's an interesting one. I guess quite short. It doesn't really give the reasons for what happened, right? Have I missed something in terms of the story? So you're the one that's created you're the murderers, and she is recreating those murders. And I'm guessing that her sister was the person that came in. So I'm just trying to go back and have a look at what it says. So 3 decades ago, heavily intoxicated Harry Lloyd did something that has come to plague him. He frequently visited the house, drinking too much, murdered her. Oh, is it completely separate? Have I made this up? I've made this up. I've made this up, hasn't it? Liza Burton is Harry Lloyd is completely separate to this, and Martha is the youngest sister. Right, I understand. Party, and she's followed it. I get it. So Martha's sister was the person that came in, but she is not Liza Burton. I thought Martha was related to Liza Burton. I'm just making those connections really simple and quite straightforward. So it's 2 separate things. This is almost like a red herring, so to speak. Right. Okay. I'm with you. Okay, so that's the quick start. The main... I do like that twist of you've done something. Again, those lines and veils, again, because there was sort of that session 0 stuff that sort of came up sort of a little bit in the context. I think it needs to be, obviously nowadays, I think it would be right front and centre, saying like, you know, we're going to explore these things, like actually have it in bold and stuff. I thought it was okay. But yeah, I mean, I got confused with the story, and if I get confused about the story, I'm sure other players will get confused with the story as well. Let's... how are we doing for time? Unfortunately, we should wrap up, unfortunately. But we've covered the main mechanics of those base rolls, the criticals, messy criticals, bestial failures, and hunger. Those are the important things there. So maybe we'll come back to Vampire the Masquerade, because I've just realised I have to be teaching in an hour, so I've got to go get prepped for that. But thank you so much. I agree. We're meant to assume that Martha's sister was killed by the coterie. Yes. No, I've got it. I'm just trying to I'm making it like, oh, this Liza Burton thing. So that sounded quite interesting. Turns out completely separate, right? So there you go. I think overall, okay. I think I would put a bit more detail into that. I agree with what the comments were saying about like. Possibly that sort of ickiness about mental illness and stuff. It definitely would make it as a revenge thing over anything. Like the idea of mind snapping, let's not keep that. I think Martha knows exactly what she's doing and she's ready to go down with a fight, so to speak. I have a few thoughts from Brian. One, there is no humanizing of Martha. Just, well, she's insane with grief, so she kills people now. Agreed. 2, I wouldn't run this adventure based on chapter 3. Fair enough. And 3, I'm not that much into vampires. That's completely fair. Yeah, again, it's not for everyone, isn't it? I quite like that idea of chapter 3, like the twist of it, but you need buy-in from the players. You need to... I don't know, as a quick start, if it is something I would use, if you see what I mean. I think this is something maybe I would use later on when we've got people going together. I don't know. I personally, I find that interesting as a story thing, but that is not for everyone, so I agree with that. But thank you very much. I appreciate you being here, those people who have stayed around to watch, for a cheeky sort of too long didn't read tabletop RPG. Please feel free to have a look at Vampire the Masquerade. There's loads of content out there, and obviously 5th edition. I'm sure at some point I'll look at Hunt of the Reckoning, and maybe Werewolf. We've discussed before in our Discord about stuff not great with the werewolf team. Like there's been some stuff about the content team that's sort of come out and they're sort of not being very nice to the writers, but hopefully the sensitivity of it has got through. So maybe if there's a quick start, I'll definitely check that out for sure. But please check it out. Go support it. And the quick start is free, and that took us just over an hour and a little bit to sort of read through. There's like a starter set as well, but maybe we'll come back and look at that as well. Maybe that's a little bit more set out in the different roles and stuff. That's the other thing I'd say. Like, if the appendix, like, you've got the character handouts and stuff like that, that's fine. But then the NPC stats, they're just hidden in the text, and that's really difficult to find if you're a storyteller trying to find that information very, very quickly. You need those in bold, you need those out. But again, it's a free thing and you can easily do that yourself. Thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow with, I think I've put myself up for 2. Actually, let me hang on. Big Fiona cam. Hello. I've got 2 tomorrow, I think. I'm going to quickly check. You should always check these things before you go to big face cam, right? Yes, I know that. I know this event's happening right now. Thank you, Discord. Tomorrow we've got June, the RPG. We're going to look at the quick start for June, and then because it's a bank holiday here in the UK, and I don't have my regular Monday D&D game because everyone is away. So I'm going to look after we've done a bit of June, the quick start. We're going to go into Yezaba's Bed and Breakfast, a slice of life RPG, which is brilliant. I really, really enjoy it. Maybe we'll look a little bit at the One More Multiverse platform. Maybe we'll see. I don't want to overpromise things there, and we'll only look at it a little bit, certainly the first couple of chapters, to avoid spoilers, because it is a 600-page book. That's Yezaba's Bed and Breakfast by Possum Peak Games. But thank you so much. I very, very much appreciate folks being here. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you've enjoyed learning about these things as well. Great stream, Fiona. Oh, thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate it, and I hope you're feeling better as well. Again, I do all the plugs quickly. If you like listening to RPGs, come check my podcast out. What Am I Rolling? A twice-monthly tabletop RPG where we do lots of different systems. Yet to do Vampire the Masquerade. Maybe if I look at the starter set, maybe that may be a bit more palatable, perhaps. But again, we'll see. But we also do lots of interviews with game designers as well. The next one-shot coming out at time of stream should be probably Flabbergasted, which we covered on Too Long Didn't Read Tabletop RPGs a few weeks ago. I'll be coming out next Sunday. I need to do the final listen through and edit of that, but that's all ready to go, which will be very exciting with our friends at Realms of Peril and Glory podcast. We've also got Shiver coming up in the next couple of weeks. We've also got Going Rogue 2E, which we just finished recording last night, which was super, super fun. So all the fun stuff and a couple of interviews in the bag as well. We also do the DM's Book Club, which is a D&D book club podcast where we read about some Dungeons and Dragons and discuss how we would include it and make it better in our role-playing campaigns. We've got a few of those episodes coming out as well. I'm just trying to think what we've got coming out. We've got some plans to do Big Bees, Glory of the Giants. We've got obviously the Shattered Obelisk, Vandelver, all good fun stuff. So lots of content all the time. And yes, at some point I am going to do a paper edit of the GM's Book Club. I will get round to it when I'm probably off in September. But with all that out of the way, folks, thank you so much for being with me this day, wherever you are. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm going to look for the end of stream button and I'm going to wave and say goodbye.